All right. So, chapter 8.1. So this whole unit of 8 is making requests and different things like that. So we're going to go through a bunch of different dialogues and situational stuff. So this will be a little bit easier to incorporate. It'll be really helpful if you can find someone to chat with. Again, if you haven't looked at who we've got in the tutoring lab, email me and let me know if we can follow up. I don't want you to think of tutoring as in it's remedial and it's something that you're falling behind. You better catch up. Touch, not right now. I'm recording, okay? I'm recording. Just wait. I want you to think about it as just a signing partner, someone who's more advanced that you can learn from. It'll be very helpful if you feel like you're isolated and by yourself, and for the past calendar year, that's all we've felt. Dodge, yes, I know. You can say hi to everybody, and then you're going to have to go. See, this is Dodger. He's like 20 years old, so he's as crotchety as I am. So, if you want fussy, anyway. All right, so as you can see with the start out, the first thing is it's making requests. The goal is that we're going to be having this conversation where one person says, hey, this situation that like we were supposed to do something, something's changed. Could we do this? And then the other person can either be like, sure, not a problem, let me do this, or sorry, I can't because of this, right? So it's just a simple exchange like that. But you can already see that that's a longer conversation than we've ever done in this class, right? It's, there's a lot of unscripted stuff that we're going to play with. And there's a lot of vocab. So I will attach the slideshow of the GIFs with all of these, and you will see them all in the video, and I will touch on them as we go through this lecture. But again, it would waste a lot of time if I just went through them. Okay, so let's take a look at an example, and I've included in here 8.1 explaining the situation. So she's going to go through, well, actually, before that, there's a slide that's the entire conversation. Then here, we're breaking up the video so that it's just looking at explaining her situation. And then the next one is asking him for help. So take a look at how she signs that and how she sets it up. Really, it's not that much different from English. There are just some ways of setting up ideas. Notice how when her eyebrows go up, the really stark white background makes some of the filming really difficult, especially when their hair is in front of their face, like in this still picture. So it may mean having to slow down the video or definitely watch it repeatedly, zoom in if need be. Be paying attention to all the different pieces of the signs, the hand shape, the facial expressions, movement, those kind of things. So now we get into different plans and requests. The first one is going to be a restaurant where Melvin's going to come up in the video and ask, hey, remember how we were going to go out to dinner? Well, and then boss, OT, overtime. Okay, so boss asked or requested him. And if you watch the video, it's really simple. All of these are right at the perfect signing level. And again, this is one with a harsh white background, which makes some of the signs difficult to see, some of the facial expressions. I will recommend probably do a full screen will be easier. I find with the white, with all the whiteness of the Google Slides, it makes dark slides more difficult. I'm sorry, am I interrupting you? The contrast is really off. I don't know why they went so extreme. They could have done like a gray background and it would have been good for everybody. Anyway. Who am I to judge? So here's the big thing that we can get into right now. And that is, what's the new vocab that was used in the video? Plan, boss, overtime, would you mind, and postpone. So plan is you're setting up plans. Think about, like, we're going to do this and this and this and this, right? So these are the steps that you're going to do. So you plan something. Now you can plan. These are the difference between a series of individual signs and a plural sign. A plural sign tends to be a sweep. Remember what we did with, like, you and you and you two. If we're talking about y'all, or for you Pittsburghers, yins, it's a sweep. So the same kind of thing. Plural ends up usually being a sweep of some kind. So plan is many of these, right? Plan. I'm planning. You can plan repeatedly. Like, it's a lot of planning. So you're noticing that how you sign something can really change the meaning. So I've planned, it's slow and careful, or I've been planning this for a long time. Boss. I guess the easiest way to put the image in your head is, think of the military and how the higher the rank, the more stuff is on the uniform, right? So I always think about, like, epaulets, those, little tabs up here, and sometimes they have, like, bars on them and whatever. Boss. I think it comes out of responsibility, the person with the responsibility. Boss. Overtime, OT. I've seen some people do overtime, but that means, like, across time, and it doesn't really have the same meaning of, it's like, it's a type of work, OT. Would you mind? This is a kind of weird and interesting one. The nose tends to be, anything on the nose tends to be a negative sign. Mouse, rat, bored, right? So this is one where it's a kind of ignore. It comes similar to ignore. It's take the pad of your finger and just brush the tip of your nose. Do you mind? Would it be too much of a bother to you, right? Do you mind? Do you mind? Do you mind? And the last one, I put it on here because not only is it a new vocab word, but it also points out some of the differences between ASL and English. Postpone, we're going to take something on a timeline and push it later. Okay. So the timeline, if you remember, future's in front, past is in back. And so there's this line coming through. You're going to take something and put it later. Boom. If we're going to move it back, could we have this meeting earlier? Boom. So you can do forward or back, or, I can't, like, I need to do it sooner. I can't do it much later, right? So that idea of, I suppose the English word would be prepone, even though we don't use that as a word, but it could be a word, right? I suppose technically it's probably in some old dictionary. There's, those interesting words where you only use one form of it, and the other ones sound like, no one's gruntled, but there are a lot of Karens that are disgruntled, right? Okay. And then I included the vocab for each of these, so you can take a look at them, how they're signed from the book. And again, these are all in your book. I just put them in here so you have them all in one place where you need them rather than have to search for them. So dinner plans, boss asked him to work overtime. If you can sign what he's signing, watch him do it, then you do it yourself, or just, take notes and do it yourself. You should be able to get to that point, and that will help. It's very clear. I love the way he signs. It's very clear, very, very helpful. I'll also say this, and a lot of teachers will tell me, "Oh no, it's too soon to be doing that." You know what they're saying. Once you've seen it, once you've watched the video a number of times, voice it. Talk with them. At first, you'll be like voicing sign by sign by sign, but then um, you'll get to the point where it feels good to say the English sentence that's the same. Like, hey, remember we're supposed to have dinner at 6 tonight? Well, I got a problem. My boss came up and asked me if I could work overtime. So would you mind calling the restaurant and booking us for another night? What'll help with that is your English sentences will start to match up with the intent in the signed story. You don't have to go word for word. What's nice, a good interpreter will try to find like link ups so that like when they sign 6, you'll say 6. When they say postpone, you say postpone. And because you already know the story, you can do that. What I found helpful as I was learning ASL was matching up the intent. Because so often we're still thinking in English and signing, and it's really hard to start thinking in ASL. But if you're watching someone sign in ASL and voice the English, you can see how flexible the two languages are. And in this case, you're matching your English to their sign. It also helps with raised eyebrows when you're setting up a new topic, if you're asking a rhetorical question, if you're negating something, that you can match those ideas. And as an actor, there are many times where you do something physically, and by doing it, you start to understand what's happening internally, even if you're not coming from a place where I figured out this person's life story and why they're asking for a glass of water. It's really, I'm asking for a glass of water. Well, he seems kind of thirsty, so maybe he's got a dry, scratchy throat, right? And could I get a glass of water, please? Right. So we can kind of work our way backwards. So I find voicing for someone signing helps me with understanding what they're doing, how they're phrasing things, where it's coming from, what the motivation is. And that's one of the hard things to connect to with ASL as a second language learner. Okay, so the next request, sorry, that was a lot of granola-y stuff. About computers. Now, this is an old setup. Now the lines would be Bluetooth or on the Wi-Fi network, so please excuse us. Plus, who has a scanner that's separate from a printer, right? This was probably a dot matrix printer too, for all you old folks. You're none of your old folks. All right, so she's going to ask. She just bought a computer, and she needs to hook it up. She needs help setting it up. We talked about the plural of plan, right? That when you do a sweep, it's a plan. It's pluralized. She does a similar thing where she's doing connect. I need help connecting. So she signs connect. Here's one thing and another thing connecting, right? Like you do roommate, right? Whoop. Relationship. So I need help. So she's connect, because there's a bunch of different connections. The new vocab in this video is recently, is the first one. And what's the sign for past? Past, right? So you're just a generic gesture to what's behind you. Well, recent is tiny past, right? It's the stuff that just happened. It's not the way back. It's right here. It's almost not fallen off your shoulder yet, right? So we do a very tiny past. So recently. And remember that small, medium, large we've talked about of the size of things? If something's far past, your mouth is open, eyebrows up, right? If something's a reasonable amount of time, the De Niro face, past. If something's recent, it's tiny. Ooh, it's that ooh face. Ooh versus versus Okay. So, recently, I just did that. Wow. Recently bought a computer. I think she may sign computer. This is an old one if you're a fan of old tape drives, like all old film of like NASA missions where they had the big those kind of things. That's where this comes from. Computer, this is very generic, and now most people just do laptop. Um, so laptop or computer, those are the two most used signs. Printer, and it's this here. It's also the sign for newspaper because it's a printed material. And what it comes from is if you've ever seen like the old Gutenberg printing press, or if you've ever worked with something like that, they had little metal, not really even cubes, they were little rectangular things. And on one side was the letter that you were going to print. And they would have bins of them. They would have the capital letters up on top and the lowercase letters down below, uppercase, lowercase, right? So there were two cases with the things. It's like a history lesson, isn't it? So what they would do is they would take it and they'd put it in the row, put it in the row, put it in the row, and then jam it together and lock it, and then put spacers in, spaces, haha. Then they would put it together. The more you go into this, it's either fascinating or absolutely boring. I don't know which. I like it. So they would take it and they would put it in. One of the jobs that early schools for the deaf in the United States would teach was printing. For a number of reasons. It was something visual. So a deaf person, and it didn't take a lot of communication. In fact, they didn't want you to talk a lot because they were like, look at what the letters are there, put them in here, put them there, lock it all up, run it through the press, ink it, put the paper on, roll it over, do the next page, boom, boom, boom. So it was manual, and it was the kind of thing that was a repetitive job, and it was easily taught. So the more you get into the history of deaf education and deaf schools, it sucked, but there were some empowerment things that were really good. Deaf people had jobs all the way through the 20th century, early 20th century, and onward until computers started taking over, because they could do those kind of manual things. And the sound of the huge printing presses behind them, or it being in the same room, didn't bother them. Similarly, a lot of deaf people worked at the post office where there were the sorting machines for similar reasons. The noise didn't bother them as much, and they could still communicate across the, without yelling. If you go into the lab and talk with Darlene, she worked at the post office for 35 years, something like that. So she's got tons of stories about the post office and deaf people working in the post office. So ask her for all the gossip. All right, so scanner. Similar to what we've done for copy machine, right? So it's like the squid comes down and takes the ink from the page, takes the information, right? So scanner is this. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Why are we using the letter X to scan? And I'll show you. So scan goes like this. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Scanner, printer. Now they're all in one. Used to be fax machine. Now no one faxes anymore, right? So, or if they do, they need to come into the 21st century. So, scanner. So why the X? Xerox. Now, that's a twofold answer and twofold importance. One is Xerox was the first scanner copier. This was used for copier originally when I went to school in Rochester, where Xerox was based, and this was to copy. And then it's eventually become this. It's a more functional sign, but now it's scanner. So Xerox was a company that a lot of deaf people worked for because they were at NTID or RIT and for college and needed internships. So they would go and do an internship with Xerox, and Xerox was part of Rochester. So it hired a lot of deaf people out of those internships, and it became Rochester is, I believe it still is, the highest per capita deaf population of any city in probably the world. I need to check that because it may have changed, but I don't think so. Anyway, so that's scanner. We did connect, right? Boop, or lots of connections. Now, kind of dumb. Kind of dumb is Seems like a weird sign. They sign it like this. Boom. The sign for stupid or the sign for dumb tends to be like this. But if you're really emphasizing, oh, I'm so dumb, you really don't want to hit your head with your fist too often. So there's times when, if we're signing dumb, they'll put their other hand in front to protect themselves. Oh, or not hit whatever. Like I'm not even making contact because I've hit myself. I've hurt myself signing so many times, so many stories, so much blood. Anyway, so dumb. If you lack the self-control, boom. If you want that sound effect, boom. Same thing with kind of stupid. It almost looks like a hashtag. There was a time when early Instagram people were taking selfies and they were like, peace on forehead. And in ASL, that means stupid. And deaf people just loved passing on those photos. People going, be like, I'm dumb. It's the little things in life. But it's also kind of a, this is, it's not as intense as like I am really stupid. Like it's like, oh, kind of dumb with that. Like I'm smart about other things, but that I don't know how. Some people do this for clueless. I have no idea where to even begin. Okay, so then we go through each of the different ones. Now, there's one sign, myself, and it can be signed one of two ways. It's either myself with the back of the thumbnail or with the pad of the thumb, myself. You wouldn't really do it sideways. It's facing the person. So if you drew a little face, it's like looking at you. Or it can be using the thumbnail, meaning me. We've already learned me, right? My, and now we have myself. And I think we've touched on it before, but in case we haven't, myself. Oh, I can myself, or can't myself, can. Right? So there's the review. So again, try to sign. My humidifier just stopped. Try to sign with the video yourself. Practice those sentences and sign. Voice with the request. If it helps, write a gloss of what each sign is and do it in all caps so that you know that that's not written English, so that there's no confusion as to what you're writing. Left keys in the car. So one more request. Now look at that old flip phone. Thank you. Anyway, car hasn't changed at all, really, but the flip phone is completely gone. All right, so he left his keys in his car. Would you mind going and looking for him? I have an issue with that. I'm sorry. You lost your keys. Go. But anyway, they must be good friends. Anyway. So the new vocab, address, all inside, maybe, and left it there. So left it. So I may have like dropped it, right? I may have left it there or left it at your house. Or leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't touch it anymore. Let's go back up. Maybe. Now, this sign with that one hand going up, one hand going down is used a lot for judgment, court. We're going to use it when we are giving directions, court, judge, the scales of justice, maybe, doubt. Oh, I'm doubtful. I doubt you, right? Which, right? Which one do you want? Chocolate, vanilla, which? Both. Yes. Okay, right. All inside. He's describing about why he doesn't want to lose his phone because he's got phone numbers, he's got pictures, he's got other stuff inside. So here's the cup. You're taking all these things and putting them inside. Inside. All inclusive. Included. I bought that. Oh, it's included. You go on a cruise, dangerous, COVID, danger, but like drinks are included, right? Food included. Then address. Now, think about the sign for live. Where do you live? I'm alive. It's alive, right? Live. So it's like an open A. Don't do it with an L or I'll have to slap you. No initialized sign. Well, some, but not that one. So live. And if you do it like this, it also means address. And again, contact is totally up to you. Generally, if it's one sweep, it's the verb live. If it's tap, tap, it's address. Okay. So there are all the vocab words. And again, go back, review the thing, make sure you can sign with them. Slow it down, answer, come up with an answer. We haven't done the answers yet. We're just doing the questions. But if you want to, go ahead and try. There's the 3. Practice it. Normally we would practice in the classroom where you would take these and then you would make up your own. We could use Google Hangouts. I'm always in my office if you want to practice this. Well, you know my office hours. So anytime, Monday, I don't remember which class, depending which class is watching this, it's one of your class sessions plus Monday and Thursday from 12:30 to 3:30. Or you can go and practice these with any of the tutors. And we just have a new tutor that's starting through the Academic Service Center. Melissa, who's one of our ASL 6 students. I think we have 3, possibly 4 tutors if you need. So anyway, that is all. I think. So practice each of the requests if you're able to get together with someone, and then try to match the phrasing of the video and then do it yourself. So the next step is response. Something simple, positive response. Someone asks you for something, respond. So good way of practicing this, watch the video, figure out what your answer is going to be, and then when they're done signing, respond. Now, I know it's not submitting a video response, but really the main thing is that flow of conversation, getting to feel like, yeah, I can help. Fine. I'll call. The one with the restaurant. Oh, I don't mind. Before he was asking a question, do you mind doing that? Oh, I don't mind. Oh, that's fine. I'll call. Right. Try not to have a single sign response. Something like, oh, fine. Oh, no problem. Oh, that's fine. Okay, I will call. So try to expand out your answers. So it's not just yes, no. Be interesting. That's my mantra for these classes. Be interesting. Take a second to think about how might you respond to each of those questions, each of those requests, in a positive way. Try to think of even just a conditional where, yeah, I can, but I can't do it till 6 o'clock, or yeah, but I can't do it on Thursday. Like anything you can think of, try adding it onto the sentence and play with it. And then if we were doing it with a partner, switch sides. So we've got blah, 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 those 3 different situations. Now we're going to look at the negatives. What can you do if you cannot help? If someone asks you for a question, you're like, sorry, I can't. You get to turn them down. Now, as I say, be nice. Master the skill of being nice. Don't be a mean old person like me. Right? So I've always found it interesting that so many language classes that I've taken, they always teach you the nice way of saying things. They never teach you the mean way of saying things. And I get it, but you have to have both. You have to have both to know if someone's being mean to you. So it's worth practicing. And again, practice with the video. They make a request, say, oh, no, I can't. Just smack the hand. I can't. Sorry, no. This could be, I can't go. I'm not going. I'm not working tomorrow. Sorry. Right. It's always good to do like, sorry, sorry on either side. Act like a Canadian. Apologize for everything. Now, the next thing, that last thing I typed about in ASL, we're actively watching and constantly responding. Start to be aware as you're watching videos, as you're watching another person sign, to respond with your face, with your body. Constantly be going, oh, cool. Oh, I see. Oh, really? Wow. Ooh, that must have hurt. Don't just sit there. I'm waiting until you're finished. Finished? Now I'm going to sign. You want to be going, oh, yeah. Be actively listening. Let it come out on your face, because that's what will help the other person know that you understand, and it will keep you from being left behind. If you're watching someone going, yeah, what? Then they know, oh, I got to go back and got to fix that. It'll be helpful to you too, where like if you're finger spelling to someone and halfway through the word, they get that quizzical look on their face, either you messed up or they're not understanding and you're going too fast, and you can go back and fix it. So we're constantly communicating. It's never one person, then the other person. It's constantly both. So start to be aware of that and start to practice that and engage in that way. So now here are situation, decline, and give a reason. So he's going to ask the same question about the restaurant, give a response back that's, oh, sorry, I can't. Sorry, I'm married. I don't know, whatever your answer is. But again, try not to do single sign answers. Don't be monosyllabic, because that's just boring and people won't want to talk to you, and then that reflects badly on you, and then they'll talk about you. Well, they'll talk about you. If you answer every question monosyllabically at home, people will go, 16 again, huh? Right. So be interesting. Practice your excuses now, so that when it comes time to lie to someone and make an excuse of why you don't want to go out with them, you can do that. You're smooth. Memorize the fake phone number. That's 8.6, I think. Memorize the phone number so that when you give it, it sounds confident, like you didn't have to think about it, right? Okay. So there are more examples. There's going to be a story of someone wanting to buy tickets online. You're going to laugh, but this was when they first started selling tickets on the internet. The interwebs, you could buy tickets? Holy cow. So she's going to tell a story about not knowing how to order tickets. Will you help her? The new vocab that she uses is she's going to New York and wants to buy tickets for a show. So New York, and I think we've already done this one before, but if not, it's a Y and it goes across the hand. New York. It's kind of like credit card. New York. You'll need the credit card if you go to New York. Performance, show. Mm-hmm. We've done actor, show. And it comes up and back, up and back, up and back. It doesn't go forward. That's the sign for aggressive. Actor. I can't dance. Ticket. This is an old sign too. It comes from riding the trains or the buses, where you would buy your ticket, you'd carry it with you, stick it on the back of your chair or hold it, and the conductor would come by and punch a hole in the appropriate place. So we signed this for ticket. Here's the hole punch. Here's the ticket. I need to buy tickets. Ticket. Ticket. And it's usually double tap because it's a noun. Perform. Through. So if here's the wall and you go through it. Through. Internet. This is a weird one to sign. Touch your middle fingers and then keep them together and just kind of twist. You don't want to go boop. If you lose connection with the internet, my internet fell. My internet dropped. My Wi-Fi dropped. Okay, internet. It comes from network, and there's many different networks. So visually, it's kind of interesting. And then don't know how. There's a couple different ways. Don't know how, or don't know how. And generally, we only finger spell in this type of situation. I don't know how. I don't know how. Because it's a quick one to finger spell. I know right now, ASL 1 and 2, it's not quick to finger spell anything. But once you're getting more fluent, how? You can look. It's literally just H, sort of an O in the middle, and then W. All right. This is a long one, so sorry. I should break it up into 2 videos, but I don't want to. So there's each of the ones. No, another one. Airport. He's going to talk about needing to go to the airport. So sign for with the chair. Anyway, I'm not Rudy Giuliani. So airport and airplane are actually the same. You're going to do this. This is the I love you sign, right? But it looks like a plane. So just 2 taps like this, and it means airplane or airport. Because if you go to the airport, you're going there because of a plane, right? So airplane, airport. Take off and land. Take off. Here's the runway, and the plane goes up. Oh my. Landing is a little weird. I've seen people do it like this, or whatever feels more comfortable for you. No. Final destination, right? Death was chasing me. Anyway, okay. So airplane, airport, take off, land, waiting. Waiting's kind of weird. You're doing out and down and back, and your fingers are wiggling, not your wrists. It's not this. This is want. I want, my precious. Right? Want. It's kind of like snow, but you turn it over and you do this. It almost looks like flames, right? Because you would do this for flames. So waiting. You could just do it stable. Show up, appear. Appear, disappear. Appear, disappear. Appear, drown. They went under for the 3rd time, right? Appear and disappear. Waiting to show up. Nothing. Didn't come. Think about, I was thinking, and maybe you could help me. Do you mind? Right? Thinking about. Or you'll sometimes see thinking about. It's multiple of these. Maybe you help me? Okay. And then there's the video takeoff. Blah, blah, blah. Some of the videos are widescreen, some are not. It's very frustrating. I don't know why Google makes the decisions it does. And the last one, making a request. Sign for funeral is this. And it's the 2 rows of pallbearers. Funeral. Missing class. I know this seems dark. Someone had to miss class to go to a funeral, and now they're coming back and want help catching up. So miss. Invariably during the summer, there's always a fruit fly around somewhere, right? And it's always like in your eyesight. So try to catch it. Missed class 2 weeks. Miss. Fall behind and catch up makes so much sense when you actually see them. These are 2 people. They're not in the best of shape. They're not like tall and thin. But whatever. So this is one of the ways we show an individual person. Fall behind. It's kind of like the Hunger Games. Fall behind, catch up. Fall behind, catch up. Or catch up, right? Or catch up. No, catch up. Ironically, in Pennsylvania, there are people who sign cats up. Cats up. They spell it that way too. So I offer no explanations. I'm from Western New York. We have different weird signs or weird words that we use. Both. Okay, so funeral, all through the vocab. And then review all of these, practicing positive and negative answers. So again, practice 1, watch the video, give a positive, watch the video, give a negative. This is going to feel very awkward doing just solo by yourself. Pretend like you're Zoom calling the people on the video. It's the easiest way that I can recommend, because they're skilled signers and you're just responding to them. And remember to use your facial expressions while you're watching them. Respond on, oh, that's too bad. Oh, you didn't. Don't talk. Just go, oh, help. So again, the same requests. It's a place where you can work with a partner. Try to avoid single signs, positive, negative responses. And the more you just practice these forms, the better. If you've got to ask someone at work something, how would you sign it? If you've got to ask someone in your family or your roommate something, what's the request? How might you sign it? And practice signing that. Just so you've done it and expressed it, that your body remembers how you signed. All right. So the following videos, there's more. These are the mini dialogues, and it's homework. It's the homework from the book, and I'll include all of the answers. So they explain the situation. There's the request and the reason for declining. And then additional vocab. Use. You've seen it in family portrait, where like wearing clothes, using clothes. So you could do it forward or backward. People use it either way. Lose, to lose something. And then here's a repeat of all the vocab. And then all of the videos from the chapter should be in this one file. So I will post this to Blackboard as soon as I've got it uploaded. It will be released to you. So if you have any questions, come see me in office hours. I know this video, if you've gotten to this point, it's probably taken you a few hours. If you've paused it, where I've encouraged you to pause it and practice the things. If not, plan on going through it again, because you will not get all this information in one take. Okay. This is a lot of stuff, and being on your own, go through and listen to the coaching I've given you to do it, and then respond with the videos that are on here. Cool. I hope all is well, and talk to you soon. Probably very soon, as you're about to watch the next video.